Following the events of the Typhoon Human Arc, Momo, Unji, and Daiki race to Shimane to use the Uchide-no-Kozuchi and lift their curses before time runs out. This fleeting window of opportunity gives the Orchestrator one final chance to seize their power and complete their mission. Okurun voices his concern about eating inside Queen's office, worrying about how angry she would be if she found out. Kinta points out that Okurun is clearly afraid of her wrath and oddly suggests that he should do the opposite, leaving Okurun confused. Meanwhile, Rin shows Koki how to eat the instant noodles they brought. Manjiro then arrives and informs Okurun that they have Queen's permission to eat in her office, even offering him tea. Curious, Okurun asks how Manjiro knows Queen and is shocked to learn they met when she brought a student to him for an exorcism. Shifting to more serious matters, Manjiro updates Okurun on the current situation involving him and his friends. He explains that someone is orchestrating a competition where participants gather yokai powers using Kozuka knives. Manjiro asks that his Exorcist Guild is investigating the matter and advises them to stay cautious until the mastermind is identified. When Okurun mentions that Seikko lacks yokai powers, Manjiro clarifies that the Orchestrator allows agents to use such powers and may have a hidden objective. Kinta confidently declares that he is already on the case. Okurun then asks about the item Manjiro brought. Manjiro explains that it is a self-defense weapon Seikko wanted Okurun to have, which Kinta complains is unfair since he only received one. Both Okurun and Kinta are disappointed when they open the box to find only a twig. While Kinta laughs it off, Okurun assumes Seikko is pranking him. Manjiro reassures him that the twig is actually an ogre club, and although he doesn't know how Okurun can use it effectively, he agrees to train him and advises him to keep it as a talisman. The conversation ends humorously when Kinta asks about Queen's type, and Manjiro replies that it's him, simply because she was nice to him, much to Kinta's disbelief knowing that she's nice to everyone. During the taxi ride to Izumo Grand Shrine, Momo stares out the window, lost in thought about Okurun confessing his feelings to her again once she returns to normal. Her thoughts are interrupted by the evil eye loudly demanding more Dojosuke Manju, irritating her. Meanwhile, Unji questions Gigi's strange behavior and learns from Vamola about his situation, though her vague explanation leads Unji to mistakenly believe Gigi has a split personality. Upon arriving at the shrine, Seikko is informed by the resident priest that the sacred artifact, the Uchide-no-Kozuchi, has been stolen. Without hesitation, she jumps into a taxi with Momo, the evil eye, Vamola, and the priest, leaving Unji, Raija, and Daiki behind to pursue the thief. As they speed off, the priest explains that the mysterious figure known as the Phantom Ninja Thief has been targeting temples and shrines, stealing national treasures. Fortunately, a tracker has been placed on the special item, allowing them to trace its location to Matsue Castle. Upon arriving at the castle, Momo is shocked to learn that such a powerful artifact is housed in a tourist attraction. She, Seikko, Vamola, and the priest rush inside, leaving the evil eye behind so they can return to the shrine before the hour of the ox to lift Momo's curse. As the priest guides them through the castle using his phone to track the mallet, Vamola asks about its significance. Momo and the priest explain its power, though Momo finds it unsettling that such an important relic would be hidden in a public location. Suddenly, Seikko stops the group, sensing an unfamiliar presence. When they turn around, they see the priest taken hostage by a ninja, threatening him with a knife if anyone moves. Moments later, more ninjas appear, surrounding them. Momo initially believes they have found the Phantom Ninja Thief, only to realize there are multiple attackers. The ninja holding the priest demands their surrender in exchange for sparing their lives. Shocked, Momo prepares to strike, planning to use her powers to stall the enemy while Seikko attacks. Before she can act, Seikko stops her and orders Momo and Vamola to return to the taxi and head back to the shrine before the ritual window closes. Momo is confused, given the priest's apparent danger, but Seikko reveals that the priest is not who he claims to be and demands that he drop the act. Exposed, the false priest dispels the ninja he conjured along with his disguise, leaving him standing only in his underwear. While Momo recoils, viewing him as a pervert, Seikko berates herself for not realizing sooner, explaining that he was never a priest and that the special item is safe, and that this was all a trap designed to steal their powers. After changing into proper clothing, the imposter is joined by his reptilian partner, who questions their next move and suggests they might have eliminated the group and delivered them to the Serpo. The imposter admits such an approach was too risky, which is why he staged the elaborate deception, and asks how his partner intends to salvage the situation. The Reptilian snaps back, rejecting the idea that the failure was his fault. Disturbed by the Reptilian's presence, Momo watches as Seikko orders Vamola to find an opening and escape to the taxi below. Momo protests, insisting she won't leave Seikko behind, but Seikko refuses, reminding her that this is their only chance to lift the curse. Seikko charges the ninjas, carving out a brief escape route for Vamola. In response, the Reptilian merges with the floor, raising a wall that seals off the exit as more ninjas converge. Suddenly, the floor collapses beneath Vamola, dropping her to the level below. Momo reacts instantly, using her powers to catch her, but both end up trapped on the lower floor. Now separated from the others, Seikko stands alone before the pseudo-priest, who calmly bows to her. After bowing to Seikko, the pseudo-priest launches a devastating strike that sends her crashing into a nearby pillar, immediately following up with a brutal axe kick. Seikko narrowly evades the next blow and engages him in close quarters combat. She quickly realizes that his strength and precision far surpass her own, with every attack aimed directly at her vital points. Even so, she studies his movements and notes that his patterns are surprisingly easy to read. Spotting what appears to be an opening, Seikko goes on the offensive and delivers a decisive double punch, only for her fist to pass straight through him. His body dissipates, revealing its true nature: smoke. Enenra counters instantly, driving an uppercut into Seikko's chin, slamming 2 heavy blows into her ribs and finishing with a devastating setup punch that sends her crashing back into the wall. Barely able to stand after the onslaught, Seikko hears Enenra praise her performance, acknowledging her skill and resilience. She responds by calling him by his true name, Enenra, a smoke-based yokai. With contempt, Enenra stomps down on her ribs, drawing a scream of agony, and urges her to accept defeat, claiming resistance is meaningless. Seikko refuses to yield, mocking his warrior facade and dismissing his power as fraudulent. She lashes out with a kick aimed at his groin, but it passes harmlessly through his smoky body, enraging Enenra, who retaliates with a vicious kick of his own. Below them, Momo hears the violent crash echoing through the castle and grows increasingly anxious for her grandmother's safety. At the same time, Vamola is startled to see Momo perched on her head, mistaking her for a fairy. Back above, Seikko lies broken on the floor, too injured to rise. Enenra plants his foot against her ribs and slowly increases the pressure, forcing another cry from her lips. He speaks with cruel admiration, praising her unyielding spirit and reflecting on the contradiction between humanity's instinct to survive and its ability to defy death. Curious to see whether her resolve will shatter if he destroys her body completely, he presses down harder, making her scream once more. Before he can continue, Enenra is interrupted by the sudden arrival of the Evil Eye, who casually holds a defeated ninja in one hand. Annoyed, the Evil Eye complains about being forced to wait in the taxi. Seeing Enenra standing over the fallen Seikko, the Evil Eye bursts into laughter at her defeat. With another yokai now present, Enenra declares his intention to steal the Evil Eye's power as well. The Evil Eye casually hurls aside the defeated ninja he had been carrying, forcing Enenra's body to disperse into smoke. In the same motion, he snatches Seikko away from the smoke yokai and drapes a sweater over her, finding Enenra's proclamation more amusing than threatening. The Evil Eye lunges forward with a punch, but his fist passes straight through Enenra's smoky form. Enenra retaliates instantly, landing a sharp kick to the face, driving an elbow into his gut, throwing him over his shoulder, and finishing with a flurry of name techniques cleverly named by Yoshinobu Tatsu after tobacco products, a nod to his ghost yokai nature, and of course to the wild Ora style of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. But at this point, if you've been keeping up with the series, you already know that. With having little trouble handling the fight, Enenra sneers at the Evil Eye's lackluster strength. Provoked by Enenra's repeated low blows, the Evil Eye angrily dubs him Nug Lover. Enenra scoffs, explaining that physical attacks are useless against him since he is smoke itself, and urges him to give up. Refusing to back down, the Evil Eye continues swinging, furious at Enenra's intangibility. Another precise strike sends the Evil Eye flying, and Enenra snaps at him to drop the nickname, as he reveals his true name, the Red Baron. Unimpressed, Enenra declares that the Evil Eye is far weaker than he is and once again demands his surrender. Inside, the Evil Eye argues with Gigi, telling him to stay quiet while insisting he can still win. Enenra watches in confusion as the Evil Eye suddenly shifts demeanor. After persuading the Evil Eye to switch places with him, Gigi takes control and formally introduces himself. Enenra questions whether Gigi seeks death, warning that his attacks will likely kill him. Gigi admits that dying would be unfortunate, but vows to fight with everything he has, claiming experience of his own. As Gigi prepares to fire the evil gun, Enenra mocks him, insisting that it will be no more effective than the evil eye's attacks. Yet, to his surprise, Enenra is driven backward by a blast instead of dissipating into smoke. Realizing what just happened, Gigi declares that his assault was successful. Struck by Gigi's evil gun, Enenra reels in disbelief, unable to comprehend how he can be hit despite his body being made of smoke. Pleased with his success, Gigi praises himself and fires another evil gun. Enenra narrowly dodges and closes in with a punch, prompting the evil eye to switch places with Gigi and block the blow with his elbow before countering with a kick. The attack fails to connect, and Enenra retaliates, knocking the evil eye back. Gigi immediately swaps in again and fires a third evil gun, which once more lands cleanly. Demanding an explanation, Enenra questions how Gigi is able to strike him. Gigi responds that he is using spiral power, something he learned from Seikko. In a brief flashback, Seikko introduces Gigi to the concept of spintronics and its connection to spiral power. She explains that L-form amino acids, which make up the body's proteins, naturally rotate to the left, while sugars and genetic material rotate to the right. The direction of rotation determines how energy behaves. Leftward rotation releases energy, creating loosening factors, while rightward rotation stores and contains energy. Applying this principle, Seikko explains that a left rotating palm wave is effective against physical enemies, while solid bodies respond to loosening energy, while a right rotating wave is better suited for ethereal foes, whose smoke-like forms are composed of loosely bound energy. Gigi admits that generating a palm wave already pushes him to his limits, let alone controlling its rotation. Seikko acknowledges this but encourages him to remember the concept, assuring him it will be useful when the time comes. Returning to the present, Gigi explains to Enenra that his smoke-like body makes his energy diffuse, in L form, rendering him vulnerable to rightward rotation. Unable to follow the technical explanation, Enenra lunges forward and kicks Gigi away, declaring that understanding theory won't be enough to defeat him. Watching Gigi shift back into the evil eye state, Enenra observes that the only reason Gigi can withstand his attacks is by alternating control with the yokai within him. He notes that the spiritual energy surrounding the body enhances his defenses, but also prevents him from firing the evil gun. Seizing the opportunity, Enenra launches a vicious assault, an uppercut to the stomach and chin followed by a relentless barrage of punches. As he presses the attack, Enenra urges his opponent to give up, claiming that as long as he disrupts the evil gun, victory is impossible and that returning to his human form will only invite further punishment. At the last moment, the evil eye dodges a kick aimed at his head, plants both palms on Enenra, and unleashes a powerful kick that sends the smoke yokai flying, drawing blood from his mouth. Stunned, Enenra realizes that his opponent has entered a new state, one in which Gigi is actively channeling the evil eye's power. With confidence, the young man declares that his genius is exactly how he plans to defeat him. Judging by Gigi's transformed appearance and his claim that he can wield both the evil eye's power and his evil gun at the same time, Enenra assumes that his opponent has fused with the yokai within him. Gigi quickly corrects him, explaining that the form is created by him and the evil eye rapidly alternating control over his body like a flickering light bulb, and adds that the technique was born simply so the two of them could play together. Unimpressed, Enenra remarks that Gigi's core nature remains unchanged before dispersing into smoke and slipping into Gigi's lungs through his nose, attempting to suffocate him from the inside. Struggling to breathe, Gigi fires an evil gun at the smoke, but Enenra continues to choke him, explaining that not all smoke is part of his body and that he merely uses it as a medium. He also notes that Gigi's evil gun has weakened as a result of the transformation. Enenra warns that the only way to clear the smoke would be for Gigi to revert to his normal form, but denies him the chance. He violently erupts from Gigi's mouth and nose, threatening to make him explode when he fully rematerializes. As the pressure builds, Gigi recalls Enenra standing over Seikko and remembers her advice from their battle with the Typhoon Human. With proper key control, he should be able to fire the evil gun even through an obstruction. Acting on this realization, Gigi fires the evil gun through his own body, forcing Enenra out. He then advances while covering his nose and groin to prevent re-entry. Enenra scoffs at Gigi's confidence and once again turns into smoke, but Gigi counters with a point-blank blast from his evil gun, revealing that repeated hits shorten the yokai's transformation window. Grabbing Enenra, Gigi swaps places with the evil eye. Enraged that his opponent dared to stand over Seikko, the woman who chose to make him part of her family, the evil eye unleashes a relentless barrage of punches, blasting Enenra out of the castle into a nearby pond where he is left unconscious. Peering through the hole in the wall, Gigi remarks that the evil eye may have gone a bit overboard. As he carries Seikko away, he adds that he wanted to scold Enenra himself, to make it clear that, at full strength, Seikko could have defeated him on her own. Elsewhere, Reptilian uses his camouflage ability to remain hidden, evading detection from Vomola while attempting surprise attacks on the ninjas. Bitter at being out-ninja'd, he grows confident that blending into a nearby pillar will keep him safe. Suddenly, Vomola strikes, having pinpointed his location with Momo's aura sensing ability. After the attack, Vomola thanks Momo, affectionately calling her Miss Pixie, and reassures her that her kaiju suit's protection allows her to see clearly. With the space ninja defeated, the pair rush back to the cab to return to the shrine. At the cab, Momo notices Gigi has returned to normal, but her relief is short-lived when she sees Seikko gravely injured in his arms. Helping Gigi lay Seikko down, Momo learns that her grandmother's ribs are broken, and Gigi is using his ki to ease her pain, though he admits uncertainty regarding her internal injuries. Seikko regains consciousness and urges Momo to get to the shrine quickly. Suddenly, the ground trembles and Reptilian's voice echoes from the castle, declaring that he will not let them leave after his pride as a ninja was shattered. To their shock, the group sees the castle itself transform. Both the structure and the airborne ninjas had been part of his camouflage. Now in his true form, Reptilian prepares to strike. Gigi and Vomola ready themselves for battle, determined to defeat him and reach the shrine. Momo, however, stops Gigi, insisting that he take Seikko to the hospital first. She declares that the curse no longer matters. Her only concern is saving her grandmother. Overwhelmed with guilt, Momo tearfully apologizes to Seikko, hoping she will still remember her when they speak again. As Gigi departs with Seikko, Momo stays behind with Vomola, her thoughts lingering on her grandmother. Moments later, after entering the interior of Vomola's kaiju suit, Momo confirms that Vomola can still perceive her presence, maintaining their synchronized control. Following her command, Vomola transforms the suit into its colossal form and generates empty space, preparing for battle against Reptilian, who recoils at the sheer size of his opponent. At Momo's next instruction, Vomola activates invincibility and launches a blast wind thrust attack. Reptilian easily evades, demonstrating his awareness of the suit's retro-reflective projection technology. Try saying that 4 times fast. Reptilian quickly deploys his kite ninja, who track the suit from above and retaliate with their ninja art Chaotic Sakura, unleashing a barrage of explosive fireworks. Vomola grows concerned, warning Momo that the suit's energy gauge is rapidly depleting. If it reaches 0, the exosuit will deflate and become unusable. In response, Momo orders Vomola to engage Reptilian at close range, hoping to trap him in the explosion radius. Reptilian mocks the attempt, effortlessly dodging every attack. As the barrage of explosive fireworks continues, Vomola's gauge drops to 0 and the suit begins to shrink. Reptilian declares victory, stomping on the weakened exosuit and boasting his superiority as a ninja. He pauses, realizing that eliminating Vomola would prevent him from stealing her power, and instead considers delivering her corpse to the Serpo for dissection. Suddenly, Momo's voice calls out, asking what he intended to harm. Shocked to learn she is still alive, Reptilian demands that she reveal herself. Momo mocks him for failing to speak in a stereotypical ninja tone, taunting that it's far too late to correct now. Referencing the tale of Ishanbushi, the tiny warrior who defeats a giant from within, Momo reveals that she and Vomola have infiltrated Reptilian's body, carrying the same ninja explosive they used earlier after ejecting from the kaiju suit. As they navigate the unknown organ, Reptilian panics and tries to shake them loose. Momo, holding onto Vomola with her powers, declares that he will not succeed, reminding him that she has faced a comparable challenge during the Typhoon Human battle and is determined to exact revenge for her grandmother. Finally, she unleashes her Momo Tri-Beam, detonating the explosive and obliterating Reptilian's castle body, bringing the battle to its climactic conclusion. After Reptilian is defeated, Momo lands on a patch of grass and realizes that the castle and surrounding town were illusions, part of the alien's ability, now beginning to dissolve. Separated from Vomola, she calls out for her friend, only to remember that without the kaiju suit functioning, Vomola can no longer detect her presence. Panic rises as she fears Vomola may have left without her. Alone on the road, Momo wonders whether Seikko made it to the hospital and what time it might be. With the full moon overhead, she realizes her time has run out. Overcome with emotion, she sheds tears, reflecting on her loneliness and expressing her desire to return home with her friends in mind. Her curse causes her to shrink further until she disappears from sight. Shortly after, a religious group appears on the streets. The masked priest, aware of Momo's presence, kneels and asks her to climb into a pouch, reassuring her that matters concerning her two friends have already been settled and that they will now address hers. The group carries her to a shrine, where the masked priest places the pouch containing Momo onto a pool of water. Holding the Uchide-no-Kozuchi, he gently taps the water, and Momo begins returning to her normal size. The group members then pull her from the water and dress her carefully while she remains unconscious. Later on, after the masked priest lifts her curse, Momo awakens in a room at an inn, surprised to find herself sleeping beside Vomola. Soon after, an inn employee brings her coffee. Concerned, Momo asks about her grandmother, only to be stunned when she learns that Seikko has been hospitalized due to an injury. The employee offers to arrange a car for her, and Momo quickly decides to head to the hospital. Before leaving, she mentions that someone unfamiliar had been in a room earlier. Upon arriving at the hospital, Momo enters Seikko's room and overhears her grandmother bickering with Gigi about wanting to eat arabiki sausage. Gigi insists she followed the doctor's orders and eat only small portions. Revealing herself, Momo asks why Seikko is in the hospital, startling both Seikko and Gigi at her return to normal size. Seikko immediately rises from her bed and embraces Momo, leaving her confused by the sudden affection. Gigi expresses relief and happiness at Momo's recovery, but when she asks who he is, both he and Seikko are taken aback. Seikko asks if Momo remembers him, and Momo is shocked to realize that the stranger is Gigi, her childhood friend. She questions why he is here, leaving Seikko and Gigi stunned as they begin to grasp the implication of her memory loss. Meanwhile, at a shrine, Manjiro trains Okarun to access his ki through handstances and daily chores, a way to repay the priest for shelter. As Okarun sweeps the grounds, his thoughts drift to Momo and her eventual return from Shimane. Back at the hospital, however, Momo firmly denies the existence of aliens when questioned by Seikko and Gigi. Meanwhile, at a bakery, Count Saint Germain enlists his henchmen to help bake bread. Though her craftsmanship earns praise, she voices frustration, arguing that his time would be better spent eliminating Okarun. Saint Germain reminds her that eliminating Okarun was her mission, prompting her to complain that the exosuit he provided proved ineffective. He dismisses the excuse, asserting that her failure stems from her own weakness, and warns that blaming others will never lead to success. He clarifies that as long as she's hired, she must follow his orders, but is free to pursue personal interests outside of work hours. While scolding her for resisting the insistence that she continues baking, Saint Germain notices smoke rising from the oven. Suspecting overcooked bread, he is instead confronted by Enenra, bowing in the kitchen. Both Saint Germain and the henchman ask for his identity, prompting the Red Baron to demand that Saint Germain stop pretending not to recognize him. Saint Germain counters, complaining about Enenra's tobacco odor and suggesting they relocate the discussion elsewhere. Once alone, Enenra expresses regret for failing his mission, blaming interference from the Serpo's hired help. He returns the Kozoka knives, pledging to take full responsibility and vowing to regain the powers that were given to him. Saint Germain reassures him that such promises are unnecessary, explaining that their efforts have already yielded valuable insights into yokai compatibility and the evolution of their abilities. He highlights the remarkable talent of Koki Yukishiro and reveals that he has enhanced her Lord of the Flies ability. Yet, he warns that Enenra's public emergence will inevitably draw the Sorcerers Association's attention, complicating their operations. Enenra notes that the Serpos sought their aid without revealing themselves. Saint Germain expresses mistrust of the aliens, suspecting they harbor similar doubts, and recommends forming an alliance with Okarun to advance the development of the ultimate yokai. Meanwhile, as the henchman works in frustration, a little girl approaches her, offering an origami crane in thanks for the bread she and her mother enjoyed. Her demeanor softens upon accepting the gift. Outside, as the girl and her mother leave the bakery, Enenra wonders why Saint Germain would masquerade as a commoner and form friendships, a behavior he thinks unthinkable for someone of noble birth. Back at the hospital, Seikko learns from Gigi about Enenra's epithet, connecting it to a group that previously harmed a friend of hers abroad and overpowered a shaman who struggled to exorcise him. She explains that this group, the Black Paladins, gather yokai powers and curses and works as diviners for corporations, undermining competitors through attacks rather than counsel. Among them is a notorious assassin known as the Flying Ace. Gigi expresses concern that this overseas faction is active in Japan, but Seikko reassures him that the Sorcerers Association has issued multiple alerts to counter them. She apologizes for not being able to safeguard him and the others. Gigi reassures her that she consistently protects them and that he could only defeat Enenra thanks to her support. While relieved that Gigi is safe, Seikko's focus turns to Momo, worried about the implications of her lost powers. Meanwhile, Vamola embraces Momo upon seeing her restored, but the amnesiac Momo, confused, pushes her away. To find out what happens next in DanDaDan, you're going to want to click on this video right here.